All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode number 525. Today is the 4th of December, 2024. And man, we are rolling into December, into the end of the year coming up. We got a couple of things. Wanted to drop a link to a webinar Bradley had on Monday, but we'll get to that. A couple of announcements and your questions shortly. But first, gonna take a second and say hello to the guys. Chris, how you doing today?
Been good. Lots of work as usual. Yeah, December is here, a bit cold here, but other than that, it's pretty good.
Fair enough. Yeah, I went for a run this afternoon before Hump Day Hangouts. It had just stopped snowing. There's like a dusting of snow on the ground, but it's like 30 Fahrenheit here, and it was a little cold. It's not bad, but then the wind started blowing. I was like, you know what? Time to turn my ass around and go inside. Chris Bradley, how you doing today?
Man, I've got you beat leaps and bounds, man. I'm on top of this fucking mountain down here that last year it didn't get like this until January.
Woo.
This is the first week in December, man. It was 16 degrees last night. It hasn't been above 20. Well, today it's currently right now 41, but windy as hell, so it feels like 30
Yeah,
something. But it didn't get above 28 degrees yesterday. And I'm in a fucking tin can, guys. You know what I mean? In this RV, it's
yeah,
unbelievably how cold it gets when it gets below 30 degrees. This RV gets cold.
yeah.
And man, like yesterday, I was bundled up with like 3 layers of shirts on, long johns and pants, and then you're sitting there and you're all bundled up, and your hands go numb and cold, and it's just been miserable. And I'm intentionally the first week in January 4th, actually Saturday, I think it is January 4th, is I'm going to Alabama, 350 miles south,
Nice.
and I'm gonna stay at 3 different campgrounds in Alabama over the course of 10 weeks. And then I'm going to Tennessee for a month from March to April. And that was intentionally to get out of this damn cold before it got super cold.
Well,
Well, I guess
now you know.
I wasn't ready for it in December, man. So it caught me off guard, and it's been miserable. But regardless, I'm still here, still working, just slower because I'm cold.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's real.
So, yeah,
Well, Bradley, you talked to Simon Dadia on Monday. You mind sharing a little bit with people? I'm gonna grab the link and drop the webinar
sure.
replay in.
We Alex, Frosty man. Yeah, we had a webinar with Simon Dadia from Chameleon Mode on Monday, and if some of you guys have been around for a long time, you'll remember Browsio. Well, Simon was the developer of Browsio, and I loved Browsio. I used the shit out of that for many, even after they stopped developing it. I used it for like 3 years after they had stopped developing it because it was great. And then he developed. They went on to I believe it was still a desktop version, but eventually they went with what they called Chameleon Mode, and then they switched. He eventually, and I wasn't crazy about that, and I made it known to Simon that I wasn't crazy about it. That's why I continued using Browsio. But then he ended up moving it to a cloud app, and then he's developed it, redeveloped it, all that. And so several months ago, he reached out to me to basically state like, "Hey, man, this is way different than it was the last time you used it. Would you want to see a demo?" And I agreed, and he's done a lot with it. And so it's a multi-login type of app that allows you to create profiles that have profile keepers that keep the cookies and the histories and all that kind of stuff, and non-fingerprint browser and all that. But Simon and his brother, who helped develop it, who was I guess a software developer or coder or whatever for the military. So the guy's really good. They developed a really robust system for SEO, social media, all that kind of stuff. You can do CTR stuff with it. There's a lot of really cool features of it. Now, to be clear, I'm not using it personally in my own business because I haven't had a need for something like that in quite some time. I've got a bunch of Google profiles, Chrome profiles for a bunch of different accounts that that I access frequently. Excuse me, but I do see the value of it, and time permitting, I will probably switch most of my Chrome profiles into Chameleon Mode because it does provide a lot more functionality and options. It does make it easier to navigate between accounts and stuff like that. So just check it out if it makes sense to you guys. He offered a lifetime deal. Check out the webinar replay, see what it does. If you think it's going to be valuable for your business and with the tasks that you perform within your business operations, then by all means pick it up. So he's a smart dude, and it was a good webinar.
Awesome. All right. Well, the link is up. I might have to put that as a comment afterwards for people who are watching the replay. Speaking of, if you're checking out the replay, go ahead, subscribe to the channel. hop over to semanticmastery.com and get signed up on the email too. Stay up to date. We send out replay notifications like the webinar we just had, helpful content, as well as information like some upcoming deals that are coming up for the holidays. So you definitely want to be on the list and get notified of those. We got some fun stuff going on coming up pretty soon. So won't spoil it. I'll just say look out for that. And we got some good stuff coming. So other than that, guys, anything else before we get into it?
I don't think so, man. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think we're good for now.
All
Got a
right,
lot of questions again, so
let's do
jump
it.
right into it. All right, I'll grab a screen, get into it. We're going to start right at the top. And we'll try to get through all. We made it through all of them last week, so we'll try to get through them this week.
I see how it is. I was gone and you guys got through
Yeah.
the questions. I see.
Yeah. Well, part of the reason I got through them was because I skipped over the previous posted questions from the previous week that I didn't get to. And typically I start with those, and so I don't always get to all the questions, but I skipped over them. So from 2 weeks ago, there's still some questions that are unanswered. I apologize, guys, but I had to get caught back up. So I'm sorry. I always try to answer every question, but occasionally a couple of them will have to be missed, and appears like that's what happened this time. So we're going to start with Jay. Jay says, "Can we use multiple ID pages as citations?" I could have sworn I covered this last week. Was the 27th last week? It was. So I did answer that. The answer. So I'm going to go ahead and hide that one. But the answer to that is no. You should only have one ID page per local business. There's only one @ID field in local business schema. So you can only have one ID page. Do you get it? You can have as many cloud pages as you want. An ID page is nothing but a cloud page. It's just how you use it that makes it an ID page. That's it. So a cloud page, an ID page is a cloud page. So you can have as many cloud pages as you want, right? But you only have one ID page, and it's whatever cloud page you assign to the @ID field. And there is a very specific way that we build the cloud page to be used as an ID page. Okay, but there's, just to be clear, it's one ID page per local business. There's only one @ID field in the local business schema. So you can only assign one dedicated resource, which is going to be whatever URL you assign there, right? Alex says, if a keyword is not showing any search volume, would you recommend, let me zoom in on this a little bit. If a keyword is not showing any search volume, would you recommend focusing more on geo or near me type of SEO to capture the broad searches, or still proceed with targeting keyword plus city, etc.? Thanks. Well, here's the thing. The way that local search works now is when Google thinks somebody is searching with local intent, or enters a search query that Google thinks has local intent. And if by the way, if somebody puts in a search query that Google is unsure of what the intent is, Google's going to return mixed results that can be satisfy informational queries, queries with local intent, if it potentially could be a search query that could potentially have local intent. What I'm saying is there are oftentimes keywords that like won't return any results because they're like, for example, in Google Maps search, certain keywords, they're like informational queries, sometimes won't even return any results because it's not relevant to a maps search. Does that make sense? So in Google Universal Search, which is when you go to google.com, that's Universal Search. There's a whole bunch of different search algorithms that are combined into that. That's why it's Universal Search. That's why at the top of just below the search bar, you have maps, videos, images, or photos, or whatever. You have all those different news, all those different categories, because those all different search engines, and that all combined in a universal search. And when you're in universal search and you enter a search query, if Google doesn't know what the intent is, it's going to try to figure out what the intent is, or provide mixed results that can satisfy that search query around with different intentions. In other words, it can provide results that satisfy an informational query, satisfy a local one. So sometimes it might have a map pack further down on the page than you're used to seeing, right? That's an indication that Google was unsure of the intent of the search query. And so Google is returning mixed results. But when you add a location modifier or a specific word, so for example, I'm literally right before we jumped on the call, and that's why I was late a minute today, as I was recording a competitive link analysis video for a prospect who, an SEO who has a prospect that has a cowboy boots and a Western apparel store. That's what they have. It's a local business type of a store, but they also have an online component, like an e-commerce component. And so the 3 keywords that they submitted for me to analyze the competitive link analysis, what the top ranked competitors are doing for those search queries was cowboy boots plus the city name, cowboy hats plus the city name, and work boots plus the city name. So when I went to go analyze the competitive link or to do the competitive link analysis, what we do with the local search, well, with the rank tracker reports entirely, the Bright Local reports, which is both the organic rank tracker and the local search grid trackers, we'll take the 3 keywords that the client submits for the competitive link analysis report. And then I always create 2 additional variants of that keyword. So he submitted 3 keywords with a location modifier: cowboy hat city, work boots city, cowboy boots city. So what I do with those is then I'm getting to a point here, guys, promise. Okay. What I do is then I take the keywords and I create 2 other variants of each one of those keywords, depending on how they are submitted. In this case, he submitted 3 keywords with location modifiers each, right? And so what I did was then I created cowboy hats near me, work boots near me, and cowboy boots near me, right? So work boots, cowboy hats, cowboy boots. But then for the general search query without, because remember, guys, near me is a location modifier, so is a city. So that when you enter in a search query that has a location modifier, that automatically tells Google that the intent is a local search query. So that's why the maps pack will show up near the top, usually at the top below all the ads. But because Google knows that that search query has local intent, which is why the results are very localized. But if you were to put in just cowboy boots, cowboy hats, or work boots, now Google doesn't know whether that, let me demonstrate this actually. Let me pause the screen for 1 minute, guys. I think this would be relevant for you guys to you know what, let's just do it here. If I do cowboy boots alone, just that alone, you see how this is not necessarily a local search query. You see we've got sponsored ads at the top. Then we've got, you know, these kind of e-commerce type stores that are showing here. And I'll even allow geolocation like I just did. So that but you see what I'm saying? Like now it just refreshed the screen because I allowed it to locate. I'm not logged in. This is Firefox. I'm not logged in. So I had to allow it to determine where I'm located. And it shows exactly where I am. This is the zip code for Grundy, Virginia, which I'm surprised that it's that accurate because it usually shows I'm in Georgia. I'm through a Starlink right now. But in any case, if you take a look, this query, Google doesn't know if that query has local intent or not. So that's why it's returning this kind of carousel here with shopping ads first. Then it's showing some kind of e-commerce type sites above, and then it's showing some map packs because these are some local stores, but you see it's not a 3-pack. Do you understand? Google's not sure of the intent of this search query. So it is showing very mixed results. But watch what happens if I just go and add store to it. Watch what happens to the search results. Now that shopping carousel is no longer there, right? I am showing my screen, right? Yeah, I am. There's the shopping carousel is no longer there. And what's right at the top below the maps, or excuse me, below the ads? See, do you see what I'm saying? That the intent of the search query or what the query is changes what Google knows or understands is the intent. And so Google's going to return different results based upon what the intent is and based upon where the browser is geolocated, which, you know, if you're on a desktop, it might not be accurate. But if you're on a mobile phone and you do a search, it's going to be really accurate, okay, as to where you are. And so to get back to what the question was so that I can answer the question, there was a reason I went through all of that, which is because it's not necessary to optimize for keyword plus city. It's better to optimize for the products or services with pages on the site that are optimized specifically for the product and or service without any location modifiers. And then by the way, let me back up. It's best to optimize product or service pages on the main site without any location modifier, but also always including the brand name. Guys, branding is the magic key to local SEO right now. I've said this repeatedly for months now. And I'm telling you, that is what we're trying to do with SEO titles, is create entity associations within the SEO titles so that we're trying to force Google to recognize the association between the product or service and the brand in a service or product or service page. So when you're building a site for a local business, whether it is a storefront business or a service type of a business, if they're going to be building location pages so that they can try to rank across a wider area, then this is what I've been teaching now for months, or for 2 years, really. I've been teaching you should not be building keyword plus city pages anymore. Guys, that is frowned upon by Google. That was addressed specifically within the helpful content update as it relates to local. And Google has been targeting those sites. That's why they don't perform as well. And it's not necessary to do that anymore because Google has gotten so much better at determining what type of query it is, what type of intent the query has, and also it bases the results based upon what the query is, the intent is, and the location of the searcher when they perform the search. And so the point that I'm trying to make here is you are way better off building product or service pages that reference the product or service name plus the brand so that you can associate the brand with the product or service. Then you build location pages for any number of locations that you want to target that are optimized for the top level category and topic terms. So the H1 or the SEO title can be the top Google business category. If it's a GBP, whatever the top level broadest Google business category is for that particular business, you would want to optimize the SEO title for either the category or the top level topic term. What is the difference? They're all entities, right? Google business categories are Google business categories that were created from combining Wikipedia topics or entities. I call an entity, a Wikipedia page, right, is an entity, right? Like it's describing an entity is what I mean. But I call that a topic because I think it's easier to understand. There's topics and subtopics, et cetera. And entities are kind of this like, people don't really understand what entities are all the time, but it's essentially it's a person, place, or thing. That's it. So entity optimization is what I'm describing when I talk about category and topic optimization, because Google business categories were created from Wikipedia entities or topics, sometimes more than one entity or topic combined to create one category, right? But then so I always start with when it's a local business and I'm starting to develop an optimization plan for that business, the first thing I do is go look at what are the Google business categories related to the products or services that this business provides. That's easy to do. You just go to Google, you search for keywords associated with the products or services related to that business, and you just append big metro areas to the search queries so that you can start to extract the most common Google business categories that are found in competitive markets for those particular products or services. And then you can, from that data, so that's easy to do. Collecting Google business categories is easy to do. Then from that data, you go start to try to figure out how those categories were created from Wikipedia entities, right? Let me demonstrate this again. I'm going to give you guys, because I don't like talking at a conceptual level sometimes when they're more advanced concepts without having some visual aids to share with you guys. So let me back up for 1 minute. What was the one that I just did yesterday? It doesn't matter. Let me pull up this one instead. Categories and topics. Give me a second, guys. I'm pulling up. All right. So this is a document that I finally got smart. I don't know why it took me so long to do this, but I've been doing 5 to 7 audits per week for months now. No kidding. And in my audit process, I've talked about this a lot, but I typically go in and I not typically, I always go in and let me show. I think I have that pulled up too. Yes. So here's my audit template. And so what I do in the page, the first bullet point under the on-page analysis section of the for the self-hosted website, that's the second component or second section of the audit. I'll zoom in on this a little bit. This is where I make page structure recommendations, which is always the starting point for an optimization campaign, in my opinion, because Google ranks web pages for search queries, not websites. You understand? But thanks to the helpful content update, how the overall site is built, optimized, etc., has a significant influence on how a page will rank. So I always want to start with determining how I'm going to optimize an individual page first. And then that helps me determine how I'm going to structure the rest of the site. Okay, so I always start with page level optimization because that's what Google ranks for search queries. But then through that page level optimization, it helps me determine how I'm going to structure the rest of the site and the internal linking. That's why I've talked for months and months and months. I've been talking about the 3 most important things when it comes to on-page optimization for self-hosted sites when it's a local business campaign, a local SEO campaign, is page structure, number 1, site structure and internal linking. I've been talking about that for months, and I always talk about site structure and internal linking really being parallel as priority number 2, or in other words, they're both equally important. Internal linking and the overall site structure, in my opinion, they're both equally important as the second priority, because the first priority is the page level optimization, right? And so when I talk about page level optimization and the audits, now again, I keep adding more and more detail to these audits all the time. They keep evolving and getting better. And that's because again, I want to use these as an opportunity to teach, not just tell you what to do. I want people that buy these audits to learn. So not only am I explaining what to do to get better results, I show exactly how I came to those conclusions. I'm very thorough in this, guys, because my goal is not to just do audits and tell you what to do. I want you to learn why what you're doing is effective so that you understand it better, right? Because that makes you a better SEO, not just following orders or directions or instructions, right? Learning how to understand this and make decisions on your own is going to make you a much better SEO. And that's what my goal is to do, right? So the point is, as I start to break this down, the way I just started to describe to you guys, we start with a legend here that talks about, and this will make sense when we scroll down here. This is just the template, but let me show you the legend first, and then I'll show you examples. Categories equals Google Business Categories. So when I talk about category and topic optimization, it is entity-based SEO, right? Entity SEO or entity optimization, whatever you want to call it. It's entity-based SEO. Categories are Google Business Categories. Topics are Wikipedia. Topics are entities. So it's all entity-based SEO. It's just, I think, an easier way for people to understand. Category optimization is for map search. Topic optimization is for organic search. Okay. So I put an identifier next to when I start to break this down. Okay. And this is what I do for all of my audits now, guys, is I go in and I pull out the relevant Google business categories and then for the project, and then I state next to it whether it's a category, a topic, a disambiguation page, a redirect, or a subtopic. That's what I was showing you right here in this legend. These are the different identifiers so that you know what type it was within how those Google business categories were created from Wikipedia entities or topics. Okay. So that's what I'm getting at here. So the process then is to identify the Google business categories first, and then break them down to figure out exactly how Google created those categories from Wikipedia topics or entities, right? Now that we have that data, then we can go in and optimize the page level. That's why it's right above the page structure section, right? Because once we've identified these and broken it down to figure out how Google created it, now when we go to optimize at the page level, we can optimize for both categories and topics, which is all entity-based SEO. But now what we're doing is we're optimizing that one page so that it can rank well in both Google Maps search and organic search, right? And so I'm bringing all of that up, and I went through all of that just explanation just now so that I could explain why it's not necessary to target keyword plus location for every keyword in every location that the local business wants to rank for. That is inefficient. It's redundant. Was specifically addressed, one of the many items that was specifically addressed by the helpful content update, which is why that is an outdated, stupid way to do local SEO right now. And I'm very, very, I have strong opinions about this because I do 5 to 7 audits per week, and I see like it's still about 90%, if not higher, of all projects that come for me to be audited I look at them and they're still optimized like it was 2020, which is an outdated method that is hurting the performance of those sites more than anything. It's not efficient to build those sites. It's not efficient for Google to crawl those sites. It's not cost effective to build links to those sites because there's so many goddamn target URLs to build links to, right? Now, Google has done us a favor, guys, with the way that the algorithm has changed. It is so much easier now to get results with less content, less pages, less links, everything, if you structure the pages and the sites properly with proper internal linking. So all of that was to get back to the question that he asked about. And by the way, before I do that, I'll finish that question, but let me just give you an example. Furnace repair service for an HVAC contract. You guys see how I do this for every industry now. And I finally started collecting a fucking database of this stuff because I've been doing this for, a year and a half. And every single time I go start all over again with copying and pasting Wikipedia topics and all the links to because these are all linked to the Wikipedia pages and finally I was like, what the hell am I doing? I keep getting a lot of the same type of industries over and over and over again. So now I can just go in and copy and paste the blocks and paste them right in. Way more efficient. Anyways, but let's look at furnace repair service. This is a Google business category just to show you guys what I mean. So furnace there's multiple meanings of furnace depending on which context it is used. So that's why that's called a disambiguation page. So we put the D there so that you know. The context in which we would be talking about for a furnace repair service would be for central heating, furnace as central heating. Do you understand? So that is the disambiguation page that shows that the appropriate version of that entity is furnace as it relates to central heating, right? So furnace repair service starts with furnace central heating, right? And then maintenance, because, and just so you know, that there's another step before maintenance, and that's repair. But once I show the proper progression of how the terms used within the Google Business category were derived from Wikipedia entities, once I show that the first time within the entities that I'm breaking down for the client within the audit report, then I don't show that again because it's redundant. It's already showed. So let me just demonstrate what I mean. Repair, guys, is a redirect because repair is a synonym, an entity variant for the term maintenance. So this is what this is showing is that, like for in this one, air conditioner repair services, air conditioning has its own topic or entity, its own topic page or entity page within Wikipedia. Okay. So air conditioning is its own topic, but repair is a redirect or an entity variant, which means it's a synonym for the term maintenance, which is the appropriate and the main entity term. And okay, and by the way, I've talked about this before, thanks to one of our mastermind members named Nolan, who is absolutely brilliant. What he showed me, it was my favorite SEO tip of the entire year, and that's not a joke. I give Nolan an enormous amount of credit for this. The best SEO tip that I've heard the entire year was something so simple, and that's what I'm about to show you. That is, what are the entity variants that we can use when optimizing at the page level so that Google knows that the page is optimized for entities instead of keywords? Well, we can figure out all the entity variants by going to the primary entity page, which in this case repairs redirects to maintenance. Maintenance is the top level entity term for all of these other variants that I'm about to show you. So within the maintenance or any Wikipedia page, any of the bolded terms, not headings and subheadings, but any of the bolded terms within the regular paragraph text of the page, that means those are interchangeable. So their entity variants are synonyms that can be used interchangeably with that term, and Google will still treat it as an entity versus a keyword. You get it? But then the other part of that is if you click on, and this was the SEO tip that I think was the most valuable that I've heard the entire year. And it's simple, but it's very, very powerful. And that is click tools, what links here. Then you click on hide transclusions and hide links and click go. All of these terms right here are entity variants, synonyms. They can be used interchangeably with this primary entity term. They all mean the same thing. You get it? And so what I'm saying is the better way to optimize now then is to build service pages or product pages. Most businesses that we work with, link building clients, everything, are service businesses, not product businesses. That's not to say that we don't also do it for that too, but the majority of them are service type businesses. So let's just call product and service pages service pages. That's what I typically do, right? So a service page should be optimized for service and brand with no location modifier in the SEO title, because that service should be available to every one of the locations that this website is targeting within their service area or where they want to rank, right? So why put a location modifier in the service page title? You shouldn't, because that limits that service page, that service, to only be ranked to really only be relevant to that one location. I still see this all the time, right? All the time. Even if they have supporting location pages on the site, they still put the main city that they want to rank for in the SEO title of the service pages. Well, doesn't that limit that service to really only be relevant to that one city? That's a yes. So why do that, right? Why not make the service available to every location that has a supporting location page within the site? So how do you do that without doing service times city for every service times every city? Easy. You do it through internal linking and through topic and category and topic optimization, which is entity-based SEO. And that is by creating the service pages that are optimized for service plus brand, so that you're creating the association between the brand and the service. And then you create location pages that are optimized for the top level topic and category terms, which means that page is optimized for both map search and organic search. And then through internal linking, you associate the location page with all of the services that are available at that location. And on each service page, you internally link from the service page to all of the location pages that that service is available to. Do you understand? What we're doing is creating, again, what is the semantic web? It's how entities associate with each other or relate to each other. So what we're trying to do is create associations in the SEO title between the brand, the products and services it provides, and the locations in which it provides them, right? And so through internal linking and through proper site structure with proper page structure that's optimized at the entity level versus keywords, we can associate the services with each location that's available, that service is available to through internal linking. And we can then associate each location with all of the services that are available at that location or in that area through internal linking. And because we are optimizing the location page, which is the page that you want to rank for local search queries, we're coming full circle back to the question. I know that was a lot of training to get to the answer to this question, but I think it's important for you guys to understand that. So what I'm saying is, if you optimize the location page for top level category and topic terms, so you optimize the SEO title for one version, which is going to be, let's just say, the Google Business category, then you optimize the H1 for the top level topic term. You're always going, that's what I was demonstrating over here, guys. You can determine, excuse me, over here, if I can get back to it. When you go through this exercise right here, it shows exactly how the Google Business categories were created from Wikipedia topics, which is an entity. It's a description of an entity. You understand? And so then now we have the data that we need to optimize the page for both categories and topic terms, which is entity-based SEO. And through the main optimization elements of the page, which is titles, headings, subheadings, and internal linking, which is why I link all of the Wikipedia pages right here, so that when we get to the page optimization, our page structure section, and I start to provide recommendations for the SEO title, the H1, the H2, and the internal links, titles, headings, subheadings, and internal links, the main optimization elements of the page, I provide entity variants in each one of those. So I will show an SEO title that's, let's just say it's optimized for the Google Business category. Then the H1 is going to be optimized, restating the same product and service and location terms, but using entity variants in the H1. You understand? So we are restating what the top level entity optimization for the SEO title was, but now we're using entity variants in the H1. Those are titles. Then the headings are going to be H2s. So H2s, we're going to use entity variants for both the product or service entity as well as the location entity in any of the H2s. Then H3s, 4s, and 5s, etc. Those are subheadings. Those are going to be terms that support the H2 statement. And then internal links are going to be typically optimized with an entity term that links to the specific page that's optimized at the entity level as well. Right? Do you understand? So what we're doing is we're optimizing the main optimization elements of the location page with entity variants at both the category and topic level. So optimizing for maps and organic search from one page. And then we don't have to have keyword plus city for every keyword plus every city. Now because Google has associated a whole group of keywords and search queries, phrases, etc., with a Google Business category or an entity. Remember, Google Business categories were created from entities that were sometimes combined, right? And so my point is, if we optimize at the entity-based level, we don't need to have the keyword even present on the page for Google to know that that page is relevant to that query, because Google understands that that query is part of that topic or category. Do you understand? So that's why what I was saying was that when I come back to this question, finally, should we be optimizing for keyword plus city? No, you shouldn't be. You should be optimizing for categories and topics plus city. And then you have your product or service keywords, a separate page for each primary product or service that you have on the site. And through internal linking, you do that. So you don't need to optimize for keyword plus city. You optimize for categories and topics. Entity plus city. The broadest relevant entity, which would be categories and topics. That's why I go through this exercise, guys, right here, is so that we have the relevant categories and topics so that we can optimize at the entity level. And then then the location page is what you want to rank, which will include the city modifier. You understand? And we use entity variants for the city modifiers as well. An example, let's see, I'm in Grundy, VA, right? So let's just point Grundy, VA. I'll say Wikipedia. I'll give you an example of what I mean by entity variance for a location entity. A location entity, Grundy, Virginia, is the official entity name. Some other big cities like Las Vegas, Miami, etc., they don't even have the comma state modifier. So what would 3 different entity variants be for this? Grundy, Virginia, Grundy, VA, and Grundy. Right? There's 3 different entity variants for the location entity. So again, in each one of those main optimization elements, titles, headings, subheadings, and internal links, if we're going to be referencing the location entity, you want to use variants of it, right? So that Google knows that we are optimizing for the entity level at the entity level versus keywords. Because keyword optimization is hammering Google over the head with the same fucking keyword or close variants of that keyword, which means that page is only going to rank for that keyword and close variants of that keyword. But when you optimize at the category and topic level, so at the entity level, that page can rank for all of the queries that Google has associated with that entity, category, topic, whatever you want to call it, whether the keyword's even present on the page. Because Google understands that it is a relevant, that page was optimized for the topic with a and or category, which means it is relevant to the query, even if that query isn't present on the page. That's what I'm saying. So it's a much more efficient way to build. You'll need less content, less pages. You won't have all this redundancy and duplication. You won't have to repeat the same fucking thing over and over and over again, which, by the way, did anybody enjoy building those types of sites? Anybody out there? I didn't. I hated doing that kind of stuff, but we all did it because we had to. 3-4 years ago, that's how we got results in local SEO. That is not the best way to do things anymore. And I'm not picking on Alex, by the way. That was not me, attacking Alex for the question or anything. I was hoping to share with you guys the training on why this is effective, okay? And why I go through all of this specifically. And I do this over and over and over again because it's important that is how I learned. Again, I've just developed this process over the last almost 3 years now, through just a lot of trial and error, guys. No kidding. And it makes sense to me. Like, again, I developed a method that I'm sharing with you guys. So of course it makes sense to me. But when I first kind of started thinking about this concept and everything, and then I kind of started looking at Google business categories and then started studying Wikipedia pages, when I learned that the large language models, Google's large language model was primarily trained on Wikipedia and other databases too, semantic databases, etc. But Wikipedia was the largest influencer of Google's large language model. When I learned that, that's when I started studying about the Wikipedia pages. Because if Google understands our language because of Wikipedia, then that's what we should be studying so that we can optimize what Google is familiar with. That's why this is so much more efficient, guys, because instead of hammering Google over the head with the same keyword plus different city every single time, which creates crawl resistance. And by the way, that's part of the reason that Google released the helpful content update, was to address the fact that its servers are overloaded, its resources are stressed. It cannot keep up with the amount of crawl requirements that it takes to crawl the billions and billions of web URLs out there, and which probably millions, tens of millions per day that are being generated because of things like large language models, AI writing assistants, etc. Right? The explosion of content on the web has forced Google to come out and publicly state that they are having a very difficult time keeping up with the energy requirements to do all that crawling and processing and indexing and everything. So that's why they've restricted crawl budget, or reduced crawl budget and reduced crawl cycle time for each crawl cycle. And that's part of the reason why efficiency is very important, which, thanks to Cecilia, one of our mastermind members, she coined the term, or at least she's the one that introduced it to me. She calls it crawl resistance. One of the things that we can do to help local sites perform better in search is reduce crawl resistance. Well, how do we reduce crawl resistance? Well, get rid of the bloat, get rid of the redundancy, reduce the number of pages, have better internal linking, get rid of technical SEO errors. Stop building pages that have 3,000 fucking words about gutter cleaning. You don't need that, guys. You don't need that. If you optimize the main optimization elements of the page at the page level for the local page, which is what I talk about is what you should be ranking for local search queries, you can optimize the page through the main optimization elements. You don't need any content, any paragraph text between the headings, subheadings. The main optimization elements are titles. Well, it starts with the URL, but I don't ever bring that up because that's not something. The URL is the first touch point, guys, for a page. Remember, how do large language models crawl the web? How does Google crawl the web? It's through links, through URLs. URL is always the first touch point. So that is also a main optimization point. But I always de-optimize URLs for all projects that I work on because that is the first touch point. I see in audits all the time. SEOs submit their local SEO campaign for me to analyze because they're not performing well. And then I look at their URL structure, and their URL has a keyword in the domain name. Then it's got the keyword plus location modifier in the URL. Then it says the same keyword plus location modifier in the SEO title, and it's repeated again in the H1. Guys, that's over optimization right out of the gate. If your URL is over optimized and stuff with keywords, Google's going to review the rest of the page through a tainted lens, right? It's already raised a red flag that you are clearly an SEO trying to optimize the page to improve or manipulate search performance. So I try to de-optimize URLs and make them as short and succinct as possible, but still convey the essence of the page. And so that's why I don't typically talk about the URLs in my audits, because again, that's what I'm going to recommend are the SEO titles. So the titles, headings, subheadings, and internal links, the main optimization elements. And so what I'm getting at is that is what you optimize for Google search in local search as it stands right now. That may change where content, paragraph text between those elements might become important again. But right now in local SEO, it's not. And I've tested this and I've proven it time and again. So what you should be doing in the content between the main optimization elements, titles, headings, subheadings, and internal links, is optimizing the copy for conversion for humans, not for the search engines. So these pages that are 3,000 words for gutter cleaning plus a little tiny city, which I see that stuff all the time, is a complete waste of your time and your effort, right? Because you are building these long pages that nobody in their right mind's ever going to read. And I understand why we all did this years ago. It was for search engine optimization. But if we can optimize a page to rank now through the main optimization elements, which are titles, headings, subheadings, and internal links, then why would you need to spend all that time developing content and then repeating that same thing over and over and over again for every single city in the service area? It's not necessary. You develop one page about the service. Let's say in this example, again, gutter cleaning, right? One page that is optimized very thoroughly. You can have 3,000 words on that page if you think it needs it, that very thoroughly describes what gutter cleaning is, how the services perform, what the customer can, these are all conversion optimization things, right? What the customer can expect, what average costs are for gutter cleaning, like all that can be very thorough. That should be very thorough. Should thoroughly describe the service and what the customer should expect on how it's going to be delivered and all that kind of, if there's warranties, all that kind of stuff, right? But then the location pages can be stripped down to the bare minimum, which a location page, which is what you want to rank for a local search query, should be specifically optimized at the main optimization elements for search, but the copy on the page and the structure of the page should be optimized for converting the visitor into a lead or whatever conversion goal it is that they that business wants that consumer to take. Usually it's going to be for local businesses a lead, right? Submit a contact form, tap the call button, whatever. Okay, but the point is the main optimization elements of the page should be optimized for Google search. The content between those should be optimized for converting the visitor, which means you don't need to have 3,000 words on the location page about gutter cleaning, right? Because the location page should be optimized for the top level category and topic terms, which would be typically going to be, there's gutter cleaning service, gutter repair service, et cetera, all that kind of stuff. But roofing contractors often do that, whatever. So roofing contractor might even be what the location page is optimized for. And then you would have in the location page an H2 that states these are the services available in this city. Then you have H3 internal links with an H3 tag that lists and links to each of those service pages, gutter cleaning being one of them. Now what you've done is you've associated the very thoroughly optimized page about gutter cleaning, which is optimized both for search and for converting the visitor, explaining very thoroughly what the service is, how it's going to be delivered, what they can expect, what the timeline is, what the average costs are. All of those things are for the visitor, not for Google, right? To convert the visitor. But then now you've associated that location page with that service. And within the service page, you have an element block that has an H2 statement or an H2 heading that says gutter cleaning service area or gutter cleaning service area locations or whatever you want to call it. But now you have, again, that element block with internal links with H3 anchor text that list and links to each of the location pages. Now what we've got is a service page thoroughly optimized for the service that is associating all of the locations that service is available to through internal links. The location pages then are optimized for the top level category and topic terms and the city that it's located that you're targeting. And then it's going to have the internal link block that has the links from that location page to all of the service pages that are available at that location. It's about associations. That's the semantic web, guys. So that is why this is a much more thorough and better and more efficient way to optimize. And finally, after 40 minutes of explanation, the answer to this question is no, it's not necessary to do keyword plus city. What you should be targeting is topic categories and topics plus city. And then you have service page for each service. And you don't have to optimize the service pages at the topic and category level. You optimize them at the individual service or product level. But then you associate that product or service with the location pages that are optimized at the category and topic level so that that one location page can rank for all of the search queries for all of the services that that particular business provides. That is a hell of a lot more efficient. Think about a roofing contractor that does roof cleaning, roof inspection, roof repair, roof installation. You know, those are 4 right there. And then they also do gutter cleaning, and sometimes they'll do siding. Right now, let's say you've got 6 locations and you've got 6 services. That would be under traditional SEO 36 pages, where you're saying the same thing over and over and over again. Roof repair, city 1, roof repair, city 2, roof repair, city 3. It's not necessary. Instead, have one page that's optimized for roofing contractor plus city. And then you have a separate page for each of those 6 services. Now you've got, if you had 6 locations and 6 services, you'd have 12 pages, plus a home page, about, contact, etc. But that's a hell of a lot better than 36 pages. It's going to have a lot less link building targets too. So, and because of your internal linking, guys, think about what happens when you build a link to either a location page or a service page. It doesn't matter because it's going to flow to all of the other relevant pages within the site through the internal linking, which is why page structure, site structure, and internal linking are the 3 most important things when it comes to on-page optimization for local SEO campaigns, right? Because if you build a link to a location page, it's going to flow to all of the relevant services. And within that page, that link equity flows down to that element block that then redistributes that link equity to all of the locations that that service is available to. So it doesn't matter whether you build a link to a service page or a location page, it's going to flow, push relevance and link equity into all of the relevant pages throughout the site because of proper site structure and internal linking, right? So that's why I'm saying, guys, the whole point of this, me trying to teach this over and over and over again, is because I understand that people have a hard time grasping the concepts. And so I keep trying to repeat it and show different scenarios and how you can implement this type of a strategy so that you finally, I want the light bulb to go off at some point, guys, and you say, because a lot of you are still doing outdated SEO tactics and you're scratching your head going, I don't understand why this isn't working. Because the algorithm has changed. It's more in the last 2 or 3 years than it had in the previous 15. I've been doing local SEO for 15 years now. And I've never seen as much changes as quickly as I've had over the last few years. I think most of these changes have done us a favor as SEOs because I hated building sites like that. I did it because it was, effective, but it's no longer the most effective way. In fact, this, in my opinion, is actually hindering performance, that kind of stuff. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to move on. I'm sorry I spent so much time on that, guys, but that's a very important topic. And I think it's important for me to continue harping on that until more of you start doing it. As soon as I start getting some audit requests consistently that are much better structured when I do the audit, when I start the audit, they're already structured better, then I'll maybe stop harping on this so much publicly. But until then, even in my own mastermind, I get mastermind members that submit projects for me to look at, and it's like they haven't been paying any attention whatsoever to what I've been teaching. And I don't expect any of you all to believe me. I expect you to go out and test it yourself, right? Go test it yourself. And that's why I keep sharing this information, because I want you guys to know exactly how I do it so that you can start testing in your own industries and figure out what is the most effective in your industry. It's going to take trial and error. I can give you the loose framework for what I would do, but because I'm not in these various industries, I don't know what the perfect configuration is. That requires trial and error. I can give you a really good starting point, though, if that makes sense. And then so I always disclaim that in my audits. I say, look, I'm not saying this is going to be the perfect structure right here, because if it's not in the tree service industry, I can't give you the perfect structure. But I can give you a really good starting point, very sound starting point that then you can iterate from to figure out what the best configuration is. And that's why I also recommend that most of you stick within one industry so that you can do this effectively. If you try to do this kind of research and implementation and trial and error to figure out what the best performing configuration is across multiple industries, good luck. You're going to have a lot of fun and no time. Right? You're not going to have any time because all you're going to be doing is testing, and it's too difficult, in my opinion. I think every one of us should be in one single industry until we nail it. And then once we nail it, if you want to take on another industry, fine, do it then. But those of you that are spread out across multiple industries and you're not very effective in any of them, why are you still in multiple industries? It doesn't make any sense, right? You guys are always under stress all the time because you're always in danger of losing clients because you're not very effective in any one of those industries because you're spread too thin across too many industries. And a lot of you are trying to do too many digital marketing services. You're trying to be too many things to too many people. Pick a couple of things that you're good at, that you like to do, and build your whole business around that, if possible, right? Around one industry, because then you get to the quality of your work will go up, the consistency of the results will go up. You'll get better at selling it, better at managing it. You'll get better at productizing it, so your costs will go down because you'll be able to systematize, productize, and reduce costs, become more efficient in your delivery. Everything, your whole operation will become more efficient if you narrow down and simplify your business to one industry and one or just a handful of very closely related services that you're good at, instead of trying to do everything. I know a lot of SEOs, local SEOs, that, oh, well, we're a full suite SEO agency and we do local SEO and content marketing and video marketing and PPC and social media. We do all that. And they're not very effective, right? Pick a couple of things. Like in my industry, tree service industry, social media is pretty much doesn't matter, right? We stick to search. That's all we really need to stick to is search. Whether it's paid search, SEO, whatever, it doesn't matter. We stick to search. So that's all I focus on, right? Local SEO, because it works. It's effective in my industry. And that's why I'm able to scale, right? And by the way, I didn't just come up with this, guys. I've been doing local SEO for 15 years, and it finally got smart 4 or 5 years ago. And 2020 is when I niched down to just working with tree service contractors, and it made all the difference in the world, right? And by the way, I still do a little bit of PPC, but before I was doing all kinds of other services for clients. We were doing blogging, content marketing, video marketing, all kinds of stuff. Now we focus 100% local SEO and also building systems into tree service contractors' businesses. So it's not just SEO. That's the starting point for us. But we build systems, lead management systems, CRMs, answering services, reviews, which that's part of local SEO anyway. But so in other words, I built systems that help local SEO, local tree service contractors get better results, not just from leads and SEO, but also better at managing the leads, processing the leads, closing them, following up with them, getting reviews from them, all of that. So it's not just that I'm an SEO and a lead generator anymore. We build business growth systems for tree service contractors, and SEO is one of the primary things that we do to generate more leads. But then we got to help them to process those leads more efficiently, right? So that they capture more of them, convert more of them into sales. And you don't need more leads to help companies do better at converting what they're already getting into sales. A lot of times you just got to help them get better at follow-ups, managing inbound calls, emails, and things like that. And so those are all, again, not functions of SEO, but are things that we offer to our tree contractors to help them get better results, right? Anyway, I spent the whole hour on that. So I'm going to roll through a couple of questions very quickly if I can. Anything that's complicated, I'm going to skip, just to be clear. How many citations should we build in unstructured, like Web 2 assets and traditional directory citations combined? There is no limit. It's as many as it takes. And I'm not trying to be an asshole who's IFA. But when somebody says, how many links should I build? I say as many as it takes. That's going to be my answer every time. How many citations? As many as it takes. Okay. So that means go analyze the top ranked competitors. I've done training on this. It's on our YouTube channel. I've talked about it many times. Do competitive link analysis for the top ranked competitors for the search queries that you want to rank for, and determine what they're doing and just exceed that and meet or exceed it. And when you do it, make sure everything that you're doing is better. It's done better. That's it. How many is it going to take? As many as it takes. And you can determine that by analyzing what the top ranked competitors are doing, which is why we do competitive link analysis reports before we ever make a link recommendation to anybody. Somebody says, what links should I build to this campaign? I point them right to the competitive link analysis order form. Go there. Once you check out and we prepare the report, then I can give you a recommendation. I don't make recommendations without looking at data. So I can't give you an answer here other than as many as it takes. Well, how many is it going to take? Do a competitive link analysis process and you'll know. I'm not saying buy it from me. There's training on the YouTube channel that shows, and the template, the workbook template, everything's right on our YouTube channel. Just go search our YouTube channel for competitive link analysis and you'll find the training. Go through that exercise. Do that for every SEO campaign, and you'll have the data that you need to know what number of links you need to build, what the anchor texts are, what the topical categories are. And that includes citations, by the way. So, guys, SEO is more science than art. There is, I think, still an art component to it, but SEO is more science than art. So use data to determine what you need, right? That's what we do, data-driven process. Is it okay to build citations on geographically relevant directories with very low trust flow? Yeah, makes no difference. Look, guys, third-party metrics mean nothing to me anymore. I use Majestic because of the topical trust flow metric, because that tells me what the topical relevance are of backlinks. I don't give a damn about the metrics. Now, trust flow, when it's a relevant topical category, it shows that trust flow is a measure of link quality and strength. But I don't care about that measure until and unless I've determined that the backlinks are relevant to what they're linking to. Then that trust flow value becomes important, because if you have high trust flow but non-relevant link profile, Google is largely ignoring those links. So I don't give a damn about the trust flow until and unless I can determine it's a relevant topical trust flow category. But when it comes to pushing geographic relevance, I don't really care so much about the trust flow. It's the geographic relevance that I'm pushing. So that, because the topical categories typically aren't going to be proper when you're building links with geographic relevance. It's not, the links won't be topically relevant. And a lot of the times local links or geographically relevant links are going to have very low link strength, which means a lot of times I have trust flow value 0, which means it has no topical trust flow. Or if it does have a topical trust flow, it's usually in a different category that's not really relevant to what it's linking to. But it's not the topical relevance that we're after. We're after the geographic relevance from that link or the link profile, right? So trust flow makes no difference to me when it comes to that, right? As we have to use the HTTP version of the S3 URL to add it to Search Console and inspect URLs, my HTTP version has gotten indexed, which shows a 403 error. Any idea how to fix that? Well, number one, you could do a canonical to the HTTPS version, but number two, why bother submitting the ID page to Search Console? I mean, it's a question you certainly can't answer because you're not on the call. But that's a question that I would ask all of you. Why does it matter? Why does everybody stress putting the ID page in the Search Console? What's the point? I would love to know the answer to that. Because, guys, it doesn't matter. If you build links to the ID page and you reference it in the add ID field of the local business schema, it's going to get indexed. Just be patient. It'll get indexed, right? Very quickly. I know we're going to run out of time. Just go do a real quick check, guys, about like Louisville Pelling Pro. I always show this example, but what do we see, guys? What is the third asset that you see for a brand search? It's an ID page. That ID page isn't part of Google Search Console. This has never been submitted to Google Search Console. Does it matter? No. It's the third. It's usually asset number 2. For whatever reason, there's 2 pages from Felling Pro that are actually showing right now above it. But usually it's the location, it's either the home page or the location landing page. And then item number 2 in the search results for a brand search is usually the ID page, which is precisely how I designed it, guys. As I've been showing in my sales presentations, and I've showed many, many times, guys, these are the 3 primary assets that I consider make up the tier, what I call tier 0 assets, or the local entity for local SEO campaigns, right? It's the money side, or the self-hosted site is the organic side of the campaign, or the local entity, excuse me. The Google Business Profile is the map side of the entity, and the ID page is the connector that kind of ties everything together, right? It's like having a 2-legged stool versus a 3-legged stool. 2 legs is going to be unstable, but you add the ID page, that adds stability, right? And so if this is true, which is what this is my method of optimizing for local search, and if this is true, that these are the 3 primary assets that make up the local entity, then when you do a brand search, those are the 3 primary things that should show up. What do we see here? Knowledge panel, that's maps. Page URL, self-hosted site. ID page. The 3 primary entity assets are showing up at the top of search for a brand search. That means I did my job the way I intended to, right? So there's no need to index or send an ID page to Search Console, guys. just put it in the ID field of the local business schema and build some links to it. It'll get indexed. It might take a little bit of time. Who cares? It'll get indexed. All right. It's after 5 o'clock, so I think I'm going to wrap it up. Sorry I didn't get to all these questions today, guys, but I did think today's training was something valuable that I'm glad I got to share with you guys.
Real
So,
quick, Bradley, Tyler
yeah.
in comments was asking where we can find the audit template. I think that was from much earlier, but
Oh, here, I can share it in chat right now
Cool.
That's fine. I don't mind. You guys can take a copy of this if you'd like. In the mastermind, we have an SOP that shows exactly for each one of these bullet points. I go through training to explain what I'm looking at, what data I pull, all that kind of stuff. Now, a lot of these updates that I've added with this additional information is not part of the SOP. I've not had the time to go in and update that yet, but sorry, let me open that back up. All right, let me grab this, put this in chat real quick for you guys. Is there any other questions in chat that I should be answering?
no, I think that's good. Somebody asked what is Comcast, but I mean, it's
I have no idea.
ISP and
It's a cable company.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that's relevant to Hump Day Hangouts, but whatever. All right, share. Why is this not letting me share, for God's sake? God damn it. 1 second. Try it from here. OneDrive's been just pissing me off today, man. I don't know what it is with OneDrive. It's just not working right today. Microsoft is having a bad day. All right, I'm gonna put this. Oops, sorry, wrong chat. This is the Tyler. What's up, Tyler? Tyler's a new link building client of mine. Real nice guy. Had a great conversation with him. What's up, dude? All right, here's the local SEO audit cam template, guys. Just make a copy of this. And what I recommend you do is make a copy of it and then make a copy of the copy each time you go to apply it. That way you always have the original. All right, I'll put that in chat. Any other questions?
I think that's it.
Okay. Right on. Well, thanks everybody for being here. Appreciate you. What's up, Jason? I see you as well, buddy. We'll see you guys next week. We do have a mastermind webinar tomorrow, so if you're in the mastermind, be there or be square.